Hey everybody, this is Blake here, and welcome to my newest episode of Review Memoirs, my favorite web show to do because it requires the least amount of work. Today we are going to be talking about cover art fail, aka Blee427, aka he has like a billion other names, actually more like 2 or 3 other names, but that's beside the point. I have the script in front of me and I took some notes so I can give you the most amount of trivia as possible. So actually, here's the first point of interest. I had heard about Brian through all of his other different web names, but I never connected any of those together. I just noticed a few weeks ago, I was looking at my list of all the requests that I've gotten for critiquing the critics, and currently it's like at 247. I'm never going to finish the show. There's just too many fucking reviewers. I've only done like 50, I think, and I've been doing this for how many years now? Anyway, I just noticed that Blee427 was a name on that list, and what I presume happened was somebody asked me to review him a long time ago. I put him on the list because he was pretty high up there. I think it was like at 20 something, and when somebody else requested I do cover art fail for, the season 3 race, I just never connected the two, and so the name has just remained on there even though I've since done him. Okay, that did not come out quite right, but you know what I mean. And then after that, I believe the next time I heard about him was on Ace Salieri's old channel. He had a link for reviewers whom you should check out, and the game Anthropologist was listed on there. And I remember it only stood out because I thought it was a cool sounding name, and I don't think at that point Ace Salieri had really praised any reviewers, so I was wondering what kind of reviewer would Ace Salieri like, and so that's the only reason it stood out to me, even though I didn't watch any of his videos. At that time I just had no time. And then I believe he went under the name Righteous Brian during his brief stint in Reviewtopia. But I didn't realize he was any of these guys once again. And of course, when I was first introduced to cover art fail when somebody requested him for the season 3 race, and through that I learned of the name Blee427. So I didn't connect any of these people together until I started to watch his videos so I could review him, and that was really confusing. Just goes to show how unorganized we are at critiquing the critics. So I watched my first video of his, and I was unimpressed. I thought the information was good, and it was about as well edited as I would have expected from a show like that, but I found his delivery to be kind of stiff and boring, and I just thought the subject was just dumb. A lot of people always complain about how critiquing the critics is an incredibly stupid idea. That's how I responded to the idea of reviewing cover art for games that were made like in the 90s or 80s or whatever. If it was maybe newer games, I could see that, but unfortunately newer games are just kind of generic when it comes to cover art, it seems like. So who would want to make a show based around that? But then, I was at first thinking, okay, he's a 2, maybe 2.5 star reviewer. I have to think about this. But then each episode I'd watch, I liked him more and more. What it's taken me like 3 years to get slightly better than before, he mastered in like 2 videos, and it almost pisses me off he does it so well. And he sounds so much more natural. In fact, I want to read off one thing here. I ended up removing. Here is one of my first notes I wrote when it came, or typed when it came to watching his videos. Sounds like he reads off a script. Before you say, "Don't you read off a script?" I don't have talent. If I had talent, do you think I'd be making video reviews? That was originally supposed to be a joke. I ended up removing that because he got so much better at it, to where he doesn't sound like he's reading off a script. He sounds incredibly natural, and it's his delivery, I think, that makes a lot of his videos. And then the editing got a lot better too. He's become much more advanced with his technique, and I really envy him there. I'd actually say that in terms of editing his videos, he's up there with the best, along with Acorn Cinema and oddly Iron Liz. I don't know if she actually edits her videos, but even though I'm not a big fan of Iron Liz based on what I've seen, the editing in those videos are just freaking amazing. So yeah, I had to kind of scrap that joke. I may have used it since then, I don't remember. So yeah, I suddenly became a huge fan of cover art fail. But the thing is, when I started writing the script, I didn't like it. It wasn't that the script was bad, it was just it lacked a flow, and I didn't feel comfortable reviewing it. Well, at that same time, I was watching videos of the Spill Crew so I could review them. And this was a very happy time because, I was loving Brian's works and I was loving the Spill Crew's videos, and but I was sort of at this dilemma where which one should I review with cover art fail. Part of the problem was that I had so much I wanted to say about them, and it was just making the reviews seem completely unorganized. For example, I think one of the earliest drafts, I felt like I was complaining too much. Then it come out with like a brief sentence or two where I suddenly praised him, and whereas that just didn't seem right, because yeah, even though my initial reactions weren't positive, he was suddenly now one of my favorites, and I just thought that seemed odd, so I didn't like that. And then with the Spill Crew, I just didn't have much to say about them at all. Almost everything I could say about them could have been summed up in like a paragraph. So I was really concerned which one should I do. So I figured, okay, well, I'm going to try. I'm going to really try to get cover art fail out of the way first, because it's going to be a bigger project. So I went through the script many different times, changed and added stuff, and I just wasn't liking it. So I figure, okay, well, I'm going to write a script of the Spill Crew review, and I go with whatever's better. So I do that, and the Spill Crew review wasn't perfect, but I thought I was much happier with the script. So I went on and did that, and that turned out to be problematic, and that's a totally different story. That review caused me lots of angst, but so after I finished with the Spill Crew, I went back to Brian, and I decided I was going to start from scratch. And unfortunately, I no longer have my original script. I hadn't thought of saving it so I could post it for you, and so I regret that, but I ended up deleting all of what I had before and rewrote the entire script. And I decided the way I'd approach it was I'd start off where, the foundations would be I'd begin with my initial reactions, but then focus on how much, he improved and how I started to change my mind. And that would be the backbone of the review. This would completely and utterly backfire on me, but at the time it seemed like a good idea. So I got the script done and I started filming, and I'll just go into my notes. This was the last time I used that theme song, which is sad because I really loved that theme song. I did not include the original opening part where I started singing along with my theme song in the script. That I just added in there on the fly. I believe this was the first episode where I stopped wearing my jacket, even though I brought it back in recent videos. It's because it was the summer, and in Arizona it's really freaking hot, and it just became so tedious wearing that thing all day. So I wanted to remove that, and I'm getting to that point where I'm considering not removing it again. And maybe it'll just be a winter or fall thing, who knows. So I kind of brought that up near, I think, the end of the video. But yeah, that's not anytime soon. This was during a phase where I started posting my script on the back of the wall, and or just on the wall behind my computer, and you could kind of tell that I am reading off it. I sound incredibly wooden. I'm not too thrilled with my delivery, even though I thought this review turned out okay. The red flag system turned out to be kind of a bitch at this point, because I was getting really bad when it came to writing down this stuff. I'd presume, well, okay, I'll put down red flag 15, whatever, and I'll just write it into my journal later on, so I'd have, a record of it. But I'd never do that, so I'm pretty sure I have so many continuity or just mistakes when it comes to these red flags, where I'll have 2 different red flag 15s or something. Let's see. I did like the joke where I say, so I don't like the show because I don't like the subject. Wait, why does the script say I like it then? And why am I so confused about this when I wrote the script? That is one of my favorite jokes that I've ever done since critiquing the critics. Something about that, even just watching me, and I don't think I have very good comic timing, that always makes me smile. There was one part I changed, where I say, sure, his theories have drawn ire from some rabid fanboys, but I understood where he was coming from. Now, in the video, I say something like, even if I don't always agree with him. Well, originally I was just going to say, but I always understood where he was coming from, so fuck off. I don't know why I changed that, but I did. And then what's next? I changed a lot of words in this video, and I don't know why. I originally said they bring a much needed lightness to the videos, but I changed that to playfulness for some reason. I'm not really sure why I did that, but I thought it sounded better, I guess. The arrows look surprisingly good on the Triforce, considering back then I did not know how to do straight arrows. So I was proud of that at that time. Let's see, what else can I even say? Oh, I really sound bad when I say, so his videos have substance and insight, but are fun and well made. And that whole thing where I'm on screen, I sound incredibly stiff and awkward. That was once again because I was reading on the script, which I don't do anymore. These days I try to at least remember what I'm going to say. One part I really did change was, well, first, the gaming anthropologist. Originally, I was only going to have a sentence dedicated to that, and but I ended up telling Brian that I was going to review him, and he responded with more interest. It sounded like he was favoring the gaming anthropologist more than cover art fail, and he wanted to hear more about that. So I'm like, shit, I'm supposed to be done with this video tomorrow, but no, I feel like I almost have to add more in there. So I expanded that sentence into a paragraph. The reason why I didn't want to cover that too much is that it wasn't a real review show. It was just about gaming topics, even though, yeah, sometimes he will review something. Yeah, pretty much what my opinions on that is what I say in the video. He actually had an issue with me saying that it was more for gamers than just the overall masses. I just watched another one of his videos before doing this, and I just don't see that. Or maybe it's just me, but you know, even though I think the Gaming Anthropologist web show is a good one, I always just feel like an outsider looking in. Whereas with Cover Art Fail, I really don't think you need to be a gamer. I'm not really sure if he's doing anything wrong there, or if that's just me. If you have any difference of opinions, go ahead and let me know. But yeah, that kind of turned a little awkward. But I changed this part where, but as CR proved to me, I can't say you will only be interested if you like whatever topic he's covering, because fanboys will beat me. This was actually true. When I reviewed CR, a bunch of fans took issue with my statement that, you know, since he doesn't have a concrete subject, that you only will enjoy his videos primarily if you like whatever he is covering at that time. I'm not even sure how I worded that originally, but a lot of fans did not like that, so I figured I'd go ahead and mention that. But originally I was going to say, because fanboys will beat me and rate me. And then I'd make a comment about implying that Huey Toonmore did it, which would be weird because nobody would expect Huey Toonmore to do anything like that. I changed that because I don't feel comfortable with doing that kind of rape joke. So I guess I'm happier with how I did that. There's this one part I talk about Angry Joe. I say something like, while cover art fail can be enjoyed by the masses. Well, I started thinking that sounded awfully pompous of me, so I wanted to make that more lighthearted so you wouldn't take that sentence so seriously, because I just didn't like how I was coming across. So I initially just added, because I represent the masses, but then I was thinking, why not make a decent Angry Joe joke? So I said something like, because I represent the masses just like Angry Joe. Okay, that is kind of a tired or an outdated joke, because the whole Angry Joe controversy that was about him claiming that he represented the masses or whatever, that was done quite some time ago, and it probably sounded odd for some people because I gave such a positive review of Angry Joe, but I decided just to throw it in there just so you wouldn't take me too seriously. And I even when my reviews become kind of dense with information and stuff like that, I don't want anybody to take me too seriously. You have to remember that critiquing the critics began as a joke. That's it. So yeah, I'm glad I kind of put that in there. When I say something like, if Blee427 does not answer this, he shall suffer the same fate as my jacket, which is apparently on my bed. The whole scene where I say something like that sounded gayer than I intended to, that wasn't in the script. I only added that because it just suddenly occurred to me that that sounded kind of weird. A lot of people took my YouTube partnership claim seriously, where I sounded very annoyed that he was a YouTube partner, even though he had less subscribers and less original content. Well, that wasn't meant to be taken seriously at all. I was just joking around. I don't care. I actually think he deserves it more than I do, because even if he has less original content, his videos are significantly better. But a lot of people thought I wasn't joking, and so whoops. That is it. I also was proud of my final part where I threw in a Spoonie reference, because he was going to be my final subject of that season of critiquing the critics. I don't think I scripted that. I just kind of threw that in there, and I was proud of how I edited his intro into there for some reason. I'm not very good when it comes to editing, so when I accomplish anything, I am happy for myself. So I initially at that time was releasing Critiquing the Critics episodes exclusively on my website for a week, and then I'd release them just to the public. The whole idea was to get more traffic going to my website. Unfortunately, a lot of people weren't apparently interested enough to do that, so I got barely any views. But then when I did release it, after some problems, it seemed like I really struggled when it came to uploading it, so it ended up being longer than I had intended. I woke up one morning to see 0 likes, 6 dislikes, and I'm like, okay, that's weird. And then I went to go see The Avengers. Don't ask me how I remember that. Maybe it was just that good of a movie. And came back, and it was 8 dislikes, 0 likes, and nobody had commented. And it seemed like even when I released it to the public, the dislikes kept going up, even though eventually the likes overtook them. And people were figuring, well, does he have that bad of a fan base? And even Brian said something like, even if my fan base is this bad, I could take criticism. And I found that can be kind of ironic, because I've heard Brian talk crap about That Guy with the Glasses fanboys in the past, and I've always felt that all fan bases are equally stupid. The only reason that That Guy with the Glasses gets more crap is because it's significantly bigger than everybody else's. But yeah, but even then, I don't think it was his fans just being thin-skinned. I think I was being trolled, because I find it odd that his fans, his exclusive fans who have probably no idea who I am, would be aware of that review while it's on my website, when I don't even think, I didn't tell them that it was up until after I'd released it publicly. So because I am thin-skinned and I was feeling awkward about it, and nobody was watching these videos anyway, I went ahead and just released it publicly before I had planned on doing that. So yeah, that was kind of weird. And a lot of people, they stopped the video because they didn't like how I sounded so negative early on, and that's where it really backfired, is people were just presuming that I was going to give a negative review, and they'd stop the video and comment and dislike my video. So yeah, that review just kind of imploded on itself in the long run, even though I think in itself, it was decent. So that is all I've got. I hope you enjoyed this video. God, how long has this been? 18 minutes. I gotta wrap it up. Too long for me. So yeah, check out Cover Art Fail on all of Brian's shows. He's a great video producer. Definitely one of my favorites. And that's all I've got to say. I'll see you guys. Oh, if you want to read the script, I'll release that on my website, and that you can find the link to that in my show more section. So I'll see you guys later.